Day 1 of the murder trial for Lindsay Clancy is officially underway. The Massachusetts mother faces murder charges for strangling her 3 young children in 2023, a tragedy her defense argues was caused by severe postpartum psychosis. An emotional opening day saw testimony from Clancy's ex-husband Patrick before the judge adjourned the case until Wednesday. Patrick answered questions from the prosecution about their relationship, Lindsay's struggles with her mental health, and the events on the day their children died. He kept his composure through most of the questions, but his breath became shaky and his hand went over his chest when he was shown photos and videos of his kids in the days before their deaths. Here are the 5 key moments that defined day 1. First, there were photos from the Clancy's Massachusetts house, with one image that showed a bloody knife.
When she's at the South Shore Hospital, she had wonderful care and treatment that was able, against her will, to save her life. The knife next to the cup, sadly, a gift saying, "Because kids." You see the white residue inside the cup? That's where the pills were crushed up with leftover lemonade from the night before when she consumed that. That's the knife. This here you'll see is sleep aids. See this here, deep sleep pillow spray. She couldn't sleep. She couldn't sleep for months.
During his testimony, Patrick recalled the last time he saw his children alive.
Do you remember going upstairs that day to interact with Lindsay and the kids?
Once or twice. It was a busier day than usual.
And when you did come up to interact with them, how was Lindsay's mood?
She seemed happy.
Happy? And how could you tell that? What was she doing?
She was playing with the kids, and she seemed in a good mood.
At any point during that day when you came up or while she's texting you, did she tell you she was having suicidal thoughts?
No.
Did she tell you she was having thoughts of harming the kids?
No.
Did she ask for help or anything that caused concern?
No, she was having one of her best days.
One of her best days?
No.
I want to direct your attention to 4:53 p.m. that day. Did you receive a text from Lindsay about dinner?
Yeah.
And do you recall what it said?
Something along the lines of, "Do you want to get takeout? I haven't planned anything."
Do you recall it saying, "Any chance you want to do takeout from 3V? I didn't cook anything. It's been a long day."
Yeah.
Had you been to 3V restaurant previously?
Yeah.
Alone or with the family?
With the family.
And approximately how many times had you been there to eat?
Probably 3 times.
And so you had all gotten in the car and driven from your home to 3V restaurant in Plymouth approximately 3 times?
Yeah, sometimes we were already out somewhere, but yeah.
Okay, but been there 3 times. Yeah. Had you ever done takeout from there before?
No.
Where would you typically do takeout when you were going to do takeout at home?
The Chestnut Grill. I think another one was West End Grill.
Were those closer than 3V to your home?
Yeah.
So Lindsay suggested 3V and you agreed, is that correct?
Yeah.
Okay. Did she send you another text at 4:56 p.m. asking you to take a look at the menu?
Yeah.
And did you send a text at 5:06 p.m. About Callan?
Yeah, I asked if he had taken a nap.
And did she respond?
Yeah.
And what was her response?
That it was a shorter nap and he was awake.
Okay. And at that time, did you also send a separate text asking what she was getting at 3V?
Yeah.
And what was her response?
I don't remember what she ordered.
Do you recall a Mediterranean power bowl?
Yeah, that sounds right.
And did she ask you what you were getting?
Yeah.
And at 5:08 p.m., did you respond?
Yeah.
And what did you tell her?
I forget what it was.
Do you recall scallop and pork belly risotto?
Yeah.
That was it?
Yep.
Who called in the order to 3V?
Lindsay.
Once the order was placed, what did you do?
I came upstairs. I took Callan for a minute, and I rocked him by my knees, kissed Cora on the head, and I said, "I'll be right back."
And what was Dawson doing when you were leaving?
He was eating chicken nuggets on the couch.
And do you recall if he was using a bowl or a plate?
It was a bowl.
Do you remember what the defendant's, well, first of all, where was the defendant seated when you left the house, or was she seated?
She was standing in the
And where
doorway.
was she?
In the doorway of the living room.
And was that the doorway by the front door or the doorway by the basement door?
It's the doorway by the basement door.
When the opening statements began, Lindsay was seen wiping away tears and shaking as the prosecution recounted the fateful night.
The evidence in this case will prove beyond a reasonable doubt that this defendant coldly and efficiently executed first Dawson, then Cora, and finally Callan. One by one, she strangled the life out of each one of them. She did so with no hesitation, with deliberate premeditation, and extreme atrocity and cruelty. She is criminally responsible for the murders because the evidence will prove to you that she knew exactly what she was doing. She drew her husband out of the house, their father, so that she had the opportunity and the time to carry out these murders. She maintained the ability to control her conduct, conform her conduct, when she attempted to kill herself to escape the consequences. At the conclusion of this case, we're going to come back and we're going to ask that you return guilty of the murders of Cora Clancy, Dawson Clancy, and Callan Clancy because the defendant committed those crimes.
We also learned about the medication Clancy had been prescribed.
In Exhibit 2, we have the Zoloft that was prescribed by Dr. Tufts and filled on September 15th, 2022. And I think I asked you earlier, you weren't aware that only 7 pills were taken out of this, correct?
That's correct.
Okay. And then there's another prescription in here for Ativan that was filled on October 26, 2022. Were you aware that only 6 pills were taken out of that bottle?
Can you say the date again?
October 26, 2022.
And how many did it start with?
Let's see. Hmm. 30 pills.
Okay. I mean, I don't have those exact numbers on how many she took, but there were adjustments made on the dosage of the Ativan. So that aligns with
But the question was, were you aware that only 6 pills were taken out of this prescription?
No, but I think the context is important.
Okay. Were you aware that there was a prescription for buspirone or Buspar filled on October 26, 2022, in which only 2 pills were taken out of the 30 that were prescribed?
I found out about the Buspar later, and I didn't know about the number of pills taken.
And then were you aware that there was a prescription for hydroxynine, prescription filled on October 26, 2022, for 30 pills, and that only 3 pills were taken out of this bottle?
Which
Hydroxynine?
Yeah, what is that?
I believe it's in some type of, similar to an antihistamine, like Benadryl or something like that.
Oh, okay. I don't really recall much about that drug.
Okay. And were you aware in this bag there was another prescription for Buspar that was filled on November 9th, 2022, 30 pills prescribed, and no pills were taken out of this bottle? Were you aware of that?
I wasn't keeping track of the number of pills taken out of each bottle.
Okay.
So
And then I'll just ask you about one more. The trazodone prescribed on November 16th, 2022 by a doctor from South Shore Hospital, 30 pills. Were you aware that only 7.5 pills were taken out of this prescription?
no.
So there were a lot of pills prescribed, but not a lot of pills taken, correct?
Is that comprehensive of all the pills that were prescribed?
These are the pills that you brought into the police station. So out of these,
Out of those, yeah, it's possible that not a lot were taken.
Patrick revealed in his testimony that Lindsay's mood had been improving in the days before she took their children's lives.
how was the defendant's demeanor at the restaurant?
It was good. I was hopeful
Why were you hopeful?
because she seemed much better.
And then on January 14th, 2023, were you able to go to brunch with your friends while the defendant was home with the children?
Yeah.
And about how long were you gone?
About 2 hours.
Were there any issues or problems that you were aware of while you were gone?
No. She encouraged me to go. She said, "You've just been inside a lot. You should go out." And it was fine.
And while you were there at brunch, did she send you photos of the kids and text messages?
I think so, yeah.
Direct your attention to January 15th, 2023. Did you and Lindsay and the kids go to the Cape Codder in Hyannis?
Yeah.
And was there a water park there?
Yeah.
And how was Lindsay's demeanor that day?
It seemed pretty good.
Was she able to interact with the children and participate in the activities?
Yes.
I could bring up photos. Again, I would just like you to look at the photos to point out who the individuals are in the photo. So here in the dark shorts with the white band on the top,
It's me.
and then in the bathing suit here with the ponytail,
Cora.
and then in the striped swimsuit at the bottom.
It's Dawson.
And then here in the black bathing suit without shoulder straps,
Lindsay.
Lindsay. And is that was Cora with her?
Yes.
And in this third photo, is that Lindsay with Callan in her arms?
Yeah.
And that photo there, is that Dawson with the striped bathing suit?
Yep.
Okay. We can go to the video with the court's permission.
How long?
I'm just going to go to certain clips. If we could start with from the beginning to 40 seconds in and play. Sir, if you could tell us who, well, can you confirm that that's you and the children and Lindsay arriving now?
Yes.
Would that be Cora in the purple jacket with the pink boots?
Yes.
And Lindsay in the gray coat with the backpack?
Yes.
And then if we could go to 139. And during this time, are you waiting to check in and get your wristbands and all of that?
Yeah.
We could go to 647. Do you recognize this play area?
Yes.
And did you and Lindsay and the children go over to this hardship area?
Yep.
Showing you here, is that Cora that just went down the slide?
Yeah.
And is that you there by the slide?
Yeah.
We can go to 1122. Let's see. We could go to 1406. Oh. $16.25. Sir, here at 1625. That Cora and then Lindsay that go down the slide together.
Yeah.
We can go to 1745. Got the same thing here.
Yeah.
So she's able to interact with Cora and the others, participate in the activities.
Yeah.
If we could go to 4753, please. You're up in the corner here.
Yeah.
Is this you and Dawson and Cora entering the pool area?
Yeah.
Lindsay was with Callan at that time, correct?
Yes.
So you were comfortable with her being off in a separate area with Callan while you were with Cora and Dawson that day?
Yeah.
Okay.
Please like and subscribe to Stick with the U.S. Sun for more updates on this case and more.